Welcome back, Benzinga Nation. You know what we like to do, and that is bring you executives of exciting companies. And today we are talking to Chief Commercial Officer Jake Boyle at Caleb and Brown, the world's leading crypto brokerage. Jake, how are you doing today?
Very well. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get started, do you mind just giving us a brief overview of your company?
For sure. So Caleb and Brown is an Australian company. We started in 2016, which for a normal business makes us pretty new, but for a crypto business, that makes us fairly old. We decided to go with a brokerage model for our business. So much like an exchange, we can buy, sell, swap cryptocurrencies. It's just instead of doing that through a purely automated system where you have to kind of figure it out yourself as a consumer, we take the approach of using a white glove brokerage model. So much like how you might have a broker for gold or for property or other industries that have been around for hundreds of years, we thought that the principles of a brokerage are fantastic because it empowers customer service, customer dedication. You can really build a premium model for what you do. The problem is cryptocurrency is so nuanced and so new. It's volatile. It's problematic at the best of times, and it's a horror show at the worst of times. So we thought a brokerage model really makes the most sense for the crypto space. So we've been operating for quite a while now. We have clients all around the world, staff all around the world, and we've got a 5-star standard that we've maintained with clients all throughout.
And then, Jake, I know you guys refer to yourselves as the world's leading crypto brokerage. So what does make Caleb and Brown the world's leading crypto brokerage?
Yeah, so we pioneered this business model in reality. So in 2016, when it all started out, there were very few exchanges. We're talking an era of the cryptocurrency market where only a few years or maybe even a year or two earlier, most people would be buying Bitcoin, meeting up at a Starbucks through local Bitcoins or something of that sort. There weren't that many options for people to get involved in the industry. And a lot of those options at the time, they weren't anywhere near the scale they are now, which means things like consumer protection, being able to have a regulated, reliable service that you use, they were issues the industry really had in 2016. What we did was, as we grew and grew over the years, we really took pride in pioneering the brokerage model for the cryptocurrency space. Now, different services work well for different investors. Some people only want to use DeFi protocols for their investing. Some people might have a particular exchange they've had a great experience with. What we're trying to do is offer a new way that people can be empowered in the space through a hands-on, dedicated brokerage model where you can actually speak to the people you're working with 24/7, Christmas Day, whatever it is that you desire. So that means if you've got a complicated trade that you're looking to do, maybe you want to trade using a corporate structure, which is very involved. You're worried about withdrawal maximums. You're worried about, can I swap this ambiguous altcoin into this other ambiguous altcoin? All of these questions some people have, a brokerage model can resolve. So I guess what makes us the world's leading brokerage model is we really are the first ones to do that to the best of our knowledge. And to date, we have never found another brokerage that services cryptocurrency on a 24/7 basis to the scale that we do with the volumes that we trade.
And then, Jake, you say you have intellectual rigor at the center of everything you do. What does that mean practically?
I'm wondering who in the business use intellectual rigor specifically. But look, what I would say to that is we are a business that started to help friends, family, people in our local community get engaged and invested within the cryptocurrency space. We've kept that ethos as we have scaled the business through tens and tens of thousands of customers and billions of dollars of transactional volume. Now, with intellectual rigor, what we really mean by that is every element of our service is absolutely overkilled. So everything from purchasing Bitcoin all the way through to a stop limit order in a offshore entity paired against the euro, etc., etc. The most complicated and the most simple trades are all overkill in every step of the way. We want to get the best pricing. We want to account for foreign exchange. We want to make sure that custody is completely in line. We want to make sure that the client's security measures that are in place are tailored to what they like and what works best for them. Every single element of the customer experience, whether it's dealing with their broker, whether it's withdrawing coins, or whether it's navigating the trade opportunities that we can help empower them with, every single step of the way involves an overkilled approach of customer support and dedication. And we don't release a new product unless it's been trialed and tested 10 times more than what it realistically ought to be.
What security and risk management systems do you have in place?
Sure. So we've taken the approach as a brokerage with an exchange, and don't get me wrong, exchanges are fantastic, and there's so many great automated solutions out there. DeFi protocols, some of the greatest businesses in the space, in my opinion, fall into that category. What we've found, though, is we want to find that balance between technology and human experience. Now, what does that mean in terms of security specifically? Well, we know that if you have a service in cryptocurrency which depends too much on the human element, you run the risk of human error. Someone's going to fat finger a withdrawal. We've all heard these horror stories before. And of course, in this day and age, social engineering. Scams are much more advanced than what they used to be, and they're running rampant, particularly in this bull market. So, what we want to do is we want to use all the most advanced technological solutions, whether they're built internally or whether it's through an external partnership, such as Fireblocks on the custody end, by way of example. We want to make sure we capture all the technological benefits that we can to empower client security and do that at an industrial level. A lot of retail services, you've got to cut costs. You're not able to provide the greatest service necessary if your clients are paying, doing very modest trades. Whereas if you're trading at an institutional level, of course, you're going to get a different experience. Our job is to get the security standards off those higher, larger money market transactions and bring them to a retail level. But then whilst doing that, we also want to empower the human element because technology is great, automation is fantastic, but we don't want to depend entirely on it because humans can still make error whilst navigating this technology. So on a client end, we want to be able to use a human service so that we can customize a security end. Do you want your account frozen until you come to our office and meet us in real life and re-KYC yourself? They're the kind of steps that we can put in place, which are very unique to only a brokerage solution.
Got it. That makes sense. And then, Jake, what is the most important thing someone investing in the crypto space needs to know?
That's a good question. I think, in my experience, being in the industry for a very long time now, I would say that if an investor or a customer fails to plan, then they're effectively planning to fail. I don't know if I've got that quote exactly right or 100% accurate, but you get the sentiment there. Cryptocurrency is a 24/7 market. A 10% movement is a drop in the ocean for a seasoned crypto investor. With that being said, it's really critical that if you're investing in the market, that you do have an exit strategy. And half the reason we opt for a brokerage is because we can help develop that with customers. Do you want to use a stop limit when certain price points are reached for the coins that you're holding? Do you have your target prices in mind for when you want to take some profit? Do you want a dollar cost average when the market is sideways and you want to gradually enter your position? All of these things, in my opinion, if you fail to have these conversations, at least with yourself, let alone with a broker or someone trusted in the industry, then you really are leaving yourself out like a feather in the wind, hoping that the market works in your favor. And long and behold, you will sound like a genius in a bull market because your strategy of having no strategy is working when everything goes up every day. But the second you get humbled by a 30% leg down and then another leg down a week or a month later, and then one day you realize you're in a bear market and you're thinking, damn, if only I had a strategy, I could have really come out on top here. That would be my bit of go-to advice. We certainly practice what we preach there.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And then last question here before we wrap up, how has the approval of Bitcoin ETFs changed the industry?
Yeah, so I think the approval of Bitcoin ETFs earlier this year, the most obvious impact it had was that it caused a huge inflow of capital into the market, which consequentially supply demand principles have allowed the price of Bitcoin to just increase. Now, that's obviously a driving force of momentum. And that narrative has given so much more legitimacy to Bitcoin, which again brings in more and more interest into the market. Now, to date, it's really outside of Solana and Ethereum, we haven't really seen a major cryptocurrency increase in price anywhere near the degree Bitcoin has. Of course, you have the meme coin market and various altcoins that are anomalies, but largely speaking, the Bitcoin ETF has brought in a lot more trust and investor conviction into what the future of Bitcoin might be. Now, from this point forward, we are seeing those kind of conversations circulating Ethereum. Of course, Ethereum is also now in the world of ETF support. What that means for the market as we move forward is really anyone's guess. But I think a really fair approach would be that with more money empowered to come into the market, we can safely suggest that cryptocurrency has reached a new leg in its story of legitimization and in turn price discovery.
Yeah, it's been great to see that adoption in the industry and see it, as you said, get a little bit more legitimized between institutional investors. Well, Jake, this has been a great conversation. Again, we've been on the line with Jake Boyle over at Caleb and Brown. Make sure to check out their crypto brokerage. And Jake, once again, thank you for joining us at Benzinga.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers.